It's day 77 of our Bible reading plan, and today we're reading Leviticus chapter 11, Proverbs chapter 1, Proverbs chapter 2, Proverbs chapter 3, Mark chapter 9, verse 33 to verse 50, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50 to verse 58, and the book of Psalms chapter 77. We're reading from the Berean Standard Bible. Leviticus chapter 11. The Lord spoke again to Moses and Aaron, telling them, "Say to the Israelites, of all the beasts of the earth, these ones you may eat. You may eat any animal that has a split hoof, completely divided, and that chews the cud. But of those that only chew the cud or only have a divided hoof, you are not to eat the following: the camel, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. The rock badger, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. The rabbit, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. And the pig, though it has a split hoof completely divided, does not chew the cud. It is unclean for you. You must not eat their meat or touch their carcasses. They are unclean for you. Of all the creatures that live in the water, whether in the seas or in the streams, you may eat anything with fins and scales. But the following among all the teeming life and creatures in the water are detestable to you: everything in the seas or streams that does not have fins and scales. They shall be an abomination to you. You must not eat their meat, and you must detest their carcasses. Everything in the water that does not have fins and scales shall be detestable to you. Additionally, you are to detest the following birds, and they must not be eaten because they are detestable: the eagle, the bearded vulture, the black vulture, the kite, any kind of falcon, any kind of raven, the ostrich, the screech owl, the gull, any kind of hawk, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the stork, any kind of heron, the whoopie, and the bat. All flying insects that walk on all fours are detestable to you. However, you may eat the following kinds of flying insects that walk on all fours: those having jointed legs above their feet for hopping on the ground. Of these you may eat any kind of locust, katydid, cricket, or grasshopper. All other flying insects that have four legs are detestable to you. These creatures will make you unclean. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean until evening, and whoever picks up one of their carcasses must wash his clothes, and he will be unclean until evening. Every animal with hooves not completely divided or that does not chew the cud is unclean for you. Whoever touches any of them will be unclean. All the four-footed animals that walk on their paws are unclean for you. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean until evening, and anyone who picks up a carcass must wash his clothes, and he will be unclean until evening. They are unclean for you. The following creatures that move along the ground are unclean for you: the mole, the mouse, any kind of great lizard, the gecko, the monitor lizard, the common lizard, the skink, and the chameleon. These animals are unclean for you among all the crawling creatures. Whoever touches them when they are dead shall be unclean until evening. When one of them dies and falls on something, that article becomes unclean. Any article of wood, clothing, leather, sackcloth, or any implement used for work must be rinsed with water and will remain unclean until evening. Then it will be clean. If any of them falls into a clay pot, everything in it will be unclean. You must break the pot. Any food coming into contact with water from that pot will be unclean, and any drink in such a container will be unclean. Anything upon which one of their carcasses falls will be unclean. If it is an oven or cooking pot, it must be smashed. It is unclean and will remain unclean for you. Nevertheless, a spring or cistern containing water will remain clean, but one who touches a carcass in heat will be unclean. If a carcass falls on any seed for sowing, the seed is clean, but if water has been put on the seed and a carcass falls on it, it is unclean for you. If an animal that you may eat dies, anyone who touches the carcass will be unclean until evening. Whoever eats from the carcass must wash his clothes and will be unclean until evening. And anyone who picks up the carcass must wash his clothes and will be unclean until evening. Every creature that moves along the ground is detestable. It must not be eaten. Do not eat any creature that moves along the ground, whether it crawls on its belly or walks on 4 or more feet, for such creatures are detestable. Do not defile yourselves by any crawling creature. Do not become unclean or defiled by them. For I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves therefore and be holy, because I am holy. You must not defile yourselves by any creature that crawls along the ground. For I am the Lord who brought you up out of the land of Egypt, so that I would be your God. Therefore be holy, because I am holy. This is the law regarding animals, birds, all living creatures that move in the water, and all creatures that crawl along the ground. You must distinguish between the unclean and the clean, between animals that may be eaten and those that may not. Now we're going to read Proverbs chapter 1. These are the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for gaining wisdom and discipline, for comprehending words of insight, and for receiving instruction in wise living and in righteousness, justice, and equity, to impart prudence to the simple, and knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and gain instruction, and the discerning acquire wise counsel. By understanding the proverbs and parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake the teaching of your mother, for they are a garland of grace on your head and a pendant around your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not yield to them. If they say, come along, let us lie in wait for blood, let us ambush the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol and whole like those descending into the pit. We will find all manner of precious goods. We will fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot with us. Let us all share one purse. My son, do not walk the road with them or set foot upon their path, for their feet run to evil, and they are swift to shed blood. How futile it is to spread the net where any bird can see it. But they lie in wait for their own blood, they ambush their own lives. Such is the fate of all who are greedy, whose unjust gain takes the lives of its possessors. Wisdom calls out in the street, she lifts her voice in the square. In the main concourse she cries aloud, at the city gates she makes her speech. How long, O simple ones, will you love your simple ways? How long will scoffers delight in their scorn, and fools hate knowledge? If you had repented at my rebuke, then surely I would have poured out my spirit on you. I would have made my words known to you. Because you refused my call, and no one took my outstretched hand, because you neglected all my counsel and wanted none of my correction. In turn, I will mock your calamity. I will sneer when terror strikes you, when your dread comes like a storm, and your destruction like a whirlwind. When distress and anguish overwhelm you, then they will call on me, but I will not answer. They will earnestly seek me, but will not find me. For they hated knowledge and chose not to fear the Lord. They accepted none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. So they will eat the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. For the waywardness of the simple will slay them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will dwell in safety, secure from the fear of evil. Now we're going to read Proverbs chapter 2. My son, if you accept my words and hide my commandments within you, if you incline your ear to wisdom and direct your heart to understanding. If you truly call out to insight and lift your voice to understanding, if you seek it like silver and search it out like hidden treasure, then you will discern the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk with integrity, to guard the paths of justice and protect the way of his saints. Then you will discern righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will delight your soul. Discretion will watch over you, and understanding will guard you, to deliver you from the way of evil, from the man who speaks perversity, from those who live the straight paths, to walk in the ways of darkness, from those who enjoy doing evil and rejoice in the twistedness of evil, whose paths are crooked and whose ways are devious. It will rescue you from the forbidden woman, from the stranger with seductive words, who abandons the partner of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house sinks down to death, and her tracks to the departed spirit. None who go to her return or negotiate the paths of life. So you will follow in the ways of the good and keep to the paths of the righteous. For the upright will inhabit the land, and the blameless will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the unfaithful will be uprooted. Proverbs chapter 3. My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments, for they will add length to your days, years and peace to your life. Never let loving devotion or faithfulness leave you. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will find favor and high regard in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, and turn away from evil. This will bring healing to your body and refreshment to your bones. Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your harvest. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will overflow with new wine. My son, do not reject the discipline of the Lord, and do not loathe his rebuke. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves, as does a father the son in whom he delights. Blessed is the man who finds wisdom, the man who acquires understanding, for she is more profitable than silver, and her gain is better than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire compares with her. Long life is in her right hand, in her left hand are riches and honor. All her ways are pleasant, and all her paths are peaceful. She is a tree of life to those who embrace her, and those who lay hold of her are blessed. The Lord founded the earth by wisdom and established the heavens by understanding. By his knowledge the watery depths were broken open, and the clouds dripped with dew. My son, do not lose sight of this. Preserve sound judgment and discernment. They will be life to your soul and adornment to your neck. Then you will go on your way in safety, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you rest, your sleep will be sweet. Do not fear sudden danger or the ruin that overtakes the wicked, for the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from the snare. Do not withhold good from the deserving when it is within your power to act. Do not tell your neighbor, come back tomorrow and I will provide, when you already have the means. Do not devise evil against your neighbor, for he trustfully dwells beside you. Do not accuse a man without cause when he has done you no harm. Do not envy a violent man or choose any of his ways. For the Lord detests the perverse, but he is a friend to the upright. The curse of the Lord is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the home of the righteous. He mocks the mockers, but gives grace to the humble. The wise will inherit honor, but fools are held up to shame. Our next reading is Mark chapter 9, verse 33 to verse 50. Then they came to Capernaum. While Jesus was in the house, he asked them, What were you discussing on the way? But they were silent, for on the way they had been arguing about which of them was the greatest. Sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, "If anyone wants to be first, he must be the last of all and the servant of all." Then he had a little child stand among them. Taking the child in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes not only me, but the one who sent me." John said to him, "Teacher, we saw someone else driving out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he does not accompany us." "Do not stop him," Jesus replied, "for no one who performs a miracle in my name can turn around and speak evil of me, for whoever is not against us is for us. Indeed, if anyone gives you even a cup of water because you bear the name of Christ, truly I tell you, he will never lose his reward. But if anyone causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for him to have a large millstone hung around his neck and to be thrown into the sea. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life crippled than to have two hands and go into hell, into the unquenchable fire. If your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life lame than to have 2 feet and be thrown into hell. And if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. It is better for you to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into hell, where their worm never dies and the fire is never quenched. For everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good, but if the salt loses its saltiness, with what will you season it? Have salt among yourselves and be at peace with one another. Our next reading is from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50 to verse 58. Now I declare to you, brothers, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does the perishable inherit the imperishable. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed in an instant, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. For the perishable must be clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. When the perishable has been clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality, then the saying that is written will come to pass, death has been swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast and immovable. Always excel in the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. We're going to read our final passage for today, and that is Psalms chapter 77. I cried out to God. I cried aloud to God to hear me. In the day of trouble, I sought the Lord. Through the night, my outstretched hands did not grow weary. My soul refused to be comforted. I remembered you, O God, and I groaned. I mused, and my spirit grew faint. Selah. You have kept my eyes from closing. I am too troubled to speak. I considered the days of old, the years long in the past. At night I remembered my song. In my heart I mused, and my spirit pondered. Will the Lord spurn us forever and never show us his favor again? Is his loving devotion gone forever? Has his promise failed for all time? Has God forgotten to be gracious? Has his anger shut off his compassion? Selah. So I said, I am grieved that the right hand of the Most High has changed. I will remember the works of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your wonders of old. I will reflect on all you have done and ponder your mighty deeds. Your way, O God, is holy. What God is so great as our God? You are the God who works wonders. You display your strength among the peoples. With power, you redeemed your people, the sons of Jacob and Joseph. Selah. The waters saw you, O God. The waters saw you and swelled. Even the depths were shaking. The clouds poured down water. The skies resounded with thunder. Your arrows flashed back and forth. Your thunder resounded in the whirlwind. The lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and quaked. Your path led through the sea, your way through the mighty waters, but your footprints were not to be found. You led your people like a flock by the hand of Moses and Aaron. May the Lord bless the reading and hearing of his word.